Welcome, everyone, to Unhappily Married, the podcast where a married couple are going to bring you through our journey of our relationship, how we got here, and
all
the
the
ups and
challenge
downs.
yeah all the challenges
all
and
the
struggles
challenges.
that we faced along the
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
Hence the unhappily
And
married.
this is the one place you're going to find
The
very
truth.
open conversations about the good, the bad, and just how we kind of process everything and how we work through everything.
Yeah, and hopefully it will be helpful for somebody to know that they are not alone in the
Yeah.
struggles of relationships, marriage, starting a family, becoming adults,
Yeah,
all
there's
that
definitely a
good
lot
fun
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
But today we're going to start at the very beginning because I think our issues date back to the beginning.
Could be. Could
I
be.
think, yeah, we were not always in an easy position. And I don't think we met each other at a time where we both had our lives together. So that kind of fed into how our relationship might have started in not the best way, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that it was a crappy relationship to begin with, because like we had fun in the beginning.
Yes, it was not.
Right, but
We were just very young, and we both had our own struggles, and we were figuring out who we were, and that is not conducive to like the best, healthiest, strongest relationship, at least
I'm
at
like
the
already
beginning.
shaking.
Yeah.
I'm
Really?
like, yeah. I'm like already shaking because I shake whenever we talk about serious things, but it's okay. We're going to get through this together. Deep breath, right?
All right. So deep breath. And where do you want to start? Where should we start?
Yeah, so I think we should just give a little bit of background about like where we were at when we met. So I think we should start with you, Eli, because you had this like big move.
Yeah. So I guess a little bit of backstory for me. So I was living abroad for a long time, 10 years, and then I like finally decided that I wanted to come back to the States, go to college, and like start a career. And so I came back. I was living by family for a year, and then I was kind of on my own for a bit. And yeah, I moved into like a campus house kind of thing.
College,
And
woo.
woo, woo. And
He's the opposite of that.
yeah, and I was there I believe I was there for 2 years. No, I was there for 1 year before I met you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the college 1 year before I met you, and then that second year that I was on my own was that first year that I had met you. That was when we met.
And like emotionally, like where were you at that time also?
Yeah. So I mean, I was I had left all my friends, all my family behind, except for the family that I had moved here to. But even then, I moved away from them because I was continuing the education. So I was definitely very alone, and I was very set on what I wanted to do, but it didn't take away from the difficulties of like not being near your family, not being near all your friends,
Right.
being in a new environment.
And I think
And
at
just
that
those.
point you probably had already been somewhat closed off.
Um,
Because I feel like when
Probably.
I met you, you were very friendly with the people in your house, but I didn't see you ever getting like too comfortable with them. I didn't ever see you like really opening up to anybody.
Yeah, I definitely had, and this was like something that I did to on purpose, and maybe for better or for worse. But like, I definitely like had a reputation of like being like
The mean one.
being like a mean
Which
person,
is so ironic
which
because you're not mean at
yeah,
all.
but like I did that. I made that reputation on
Right.
my own purposefully because it was fun. It was fun to be like rude to people who like my housemates. Like I wasn't a dick to them or anything like that, but I was just like purposely rude. Like someone would be like telling me a story and I'd pretend to like fall asleep in the middle, right? So it was like
So
silly.
unlike you,
Yeah, it was like silly
yeah.
goofs like that where people like I had this reputation of like being
Right.
like a mean person.
Right.
And so by the time I
Which
met
I
you,
found, which I found attractive.
but yeah.
Because that to me says a certain level of confidence. But it turns out that it was really more of just you keeping like not that you're not confident, but I feel like it was more of you being just like distant with people.
Yeah, I definitely do feel very distant with people. I do feel like an outsider to a lot of people.
And I think
And
that also
that's,
comes with moving, living in two different countries and then,
yeah,
like making this big move and
yeah.
yeah, you were
And
just in a different place and
yeah, and so it's just, it's easy to like, um, it's easy to I forget the word exactly, but it's easy to like take that identity and like run with it, as
right.
opposed to having to figure out how to like integrate into like a different system and like learn that system and become a part of it. So it's easier for me to like, as I felt like I was on the sidelines, I think it was just easier for me to be that person on the sidelines, as opposed to figuring out how to be the person who's
Right.
part of the game or part of the community or whatever it is, because that like transition is just like, it's a hard thing to do. So that's kind of where I came from and how I met you and things like that.
Right.
That was like where I was.
In terms of where I was at, I had just transferred to the college that we met at, and I was coming out of a pretty serious relationship that was also quite toxic. And in my head, I was coming into this as a new start, but it was also to get away from everything in my past. So before this relationship and before I started college, I also had gone through a difficult time in high school. And emotionally, I was somewhat of a wreck, but I think I was starting to pick myself up together. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted outside of all these other external pressures, and I think that was like a huge reason why I switched colleges. I just needed to be away from everyone I knew and every
Yeah.
expectation I had and just like make a new name for myself.
Yeah.
So I really told myself that I was not going to get into a relationship right away because knowing me, that's something I would have done. I would have just dived into a new relationship to get over the last one.
Yeah.
So I really did come in, because I know we talk about this a lot, saying like, oh, secretly I wanted to be in a relationship with you, even though I said I didn't. And that, while that's true, I had really come into college with the intention of not getting into a relationship again so I can focus on myself and just figure out what the heck I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I was emotionally like a wreck anymore, but I was still in a vulnerable state of having all these fresh wounds of just very heavy shit that happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the point that I had met you. And we met really early. We met the first weekend of
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
He was one of the you were one of the first people that I met. And I always think about this because that night that we had met, my friend my roommate, she had asked me, do you want to go to a frat party? And frat parties are so not my thing. I didn't even know what frat parties were because I came
Yeah.
from a Jewish college.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know what that was. But, and I think it kind of sounded scary to me because when someone else came up to me and said, hey, we're going to this person's house just to hang out with a few people, for the Sabbath, I was like, yeah, that sounds much more my speed. And I think about this all the time. Like, yeah, like I'm happy that I chose that. I am, at the end of the day, no matter what our issues are, I'm very happy I met you.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I made that decision that night. Do you want to like talk about like what you were feeling when you first met me? I think we were on very different pages.
Yeah, I think I don't know that I remember exactly what I was feeling when I first met you, but I remember like asking you a couple questions just to be polite.
Just to be
But
polite.
well, you were
You
just
felt
like
bad for
standing there.
me.
You were just standing out there by yourself,
Because
like on the porch.
I'm shy. I'm a little
So
shy.
so I remember just being like, just like other people were talking and like I wasn't talking and you weren't talking to anyone, so I just like, I don't know, I just started talking to you, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I was just trying to be polite, I guess, and just like, I don't know, welcoming or whatever, because like that was my house. And yeah, I mean, I don't remember what I like how I felt initially, but like I definitely wasn't looking for something either. I was just being nice. Like, yeah, I wasn't really looking for anything either.
Well, I
Yeah.
will say, for someone just being nice, you did get my number and you
Not
added
that
me on
night. Not
Snapchat, and
that night. Not
I
not
think
until not until the next night, I think.
yeah, I think maybe it was
But
the next night for sure, but like, I mean, that's that's a 1 day
yeah,
difference.
no, for sure.
Um,
Yes, that is true.
well, I'll just say where I was at. Like, I remember seeing you like, and I always picture you wearing your black sweater with your hood on, even though I know that's not what you were wearing that night. I
What
think
black sweater?
the cardigan that you always wear.
Oh.
Like,
Oh,
because that's
okay,
such a
yeah.
staple of you, I always feel like that's what you were wearing that first night that I met you. But I'm pretty sure you were wearing just like a tank top and shorts or something like that. Like, but I
I
just
was
remember you
definitely
like,
not wearing a tank top and shorts.
why?
Was
Yeah,
I?
yeah. You used to wear a tank top all the time, like a gray one. I even have one of the first pictures we took, like that my friend took of us on
Oh, okay.
Snapchat.
I know
Yeah,
what that was okay. I know what you're talking
or
about. That was
maybe
the next night. That
that
was
was
the
the
next
next
night.
night.
Yeah, that was the
Okay,
next night. It's not a
but so
tank top. It was
maybe
just
you
a
were wearing.
sleeveless shirt. It wasn't a tank top. It was just a
Sorry, my
sleeveless
bad.
shirt. No, those are different.
Got you. Okay.
When you say tank top, I
Well,
think about like those wife beaters. You
oh
know?
no,
And I'm just like,
ew. Even though I did used to have a Facebook group dedicated to men wearing wife beaters. Oh God.
Yeah.
No, but whatever. I don't. It doesn't matter what you were wearing. I just remember you like sitting on like the shoot. What's it called?
The ledge.
Yeah, the ledge thing, whatever. And thinking like, oh, you're so. And you had like one knee up like this, you know, like you had one knee up and like one leg like dangling down, like.
Like, how do you even know how I was sitting?
I just remember. I
How
don't
do you
know.
know I
I
was
just
sitting?
I just because I just thought like you were so cool. Like I thought you were like the I thought you were like the very indifferent, like
I was.
you know, it maybe yeah, I guess
I
back
was.
then. I don't know. I just thought you were cool.
Makes sense.
And obviously I
was
also
cool.
really just appreciated you talking to me because I can be very shy in new social situations, and yeah, it was nice. And I think once you talked to me, I got more comfortable, and I ended up making a lot of friends that night actually.
Yeah.
And we were all like sitting around the couch in your living room, and
Yeah, just hanging out.
yeah, you remember I met another guy who was hitting on me,
Yeah.
and you you didn't care.
I did not care.
He
No.
he pulled me aside and he's like, I gotta warn you about Eli.
Oh
Like,
yeah, because
like,
there was like a situation there, but we're not. I mean,
We don't have to get into
we don't have to
that.
get into it, but whatever. There was a situation.
yeah, and I remember,
Let's
yeah, like
just say he wasn't very happy with
no,
my
and he was a
behavior.
very nice boy too, and
Yeah, he
and
was.
he was good looking too.
I liked
and-
him. I thought he was
yeah.
a nice guy. Yeah, like,
But I was
thought he
like,
yeah.
darn, I gotta go back to Eli for some stupid reason. Gotta go for the guy who's not showing any interest. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you did show somewhat of interest. I mean, you were asking me questions and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I'm maybe learning now is not romantic, but just friendly.
Yeah. Probably
Probably.
more friendly.
But you know what? It makes sense because my background is like, you know, boys and girls are not friends. So it's like
Right.
if a boy is talking to you and asking you questions, it's like, oh, well, they must like me. So it's like a little bit of an immature outlook. But yeah, I mean, that's how we met. But things I feel like just heated up pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty quick. We like started hanging out like pretty much every day after class. We would hang out, and you basically slept over every night.
Yeah, I like slept over like what, like a week after I met you? And by slept over, I mean like actually just slept over.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So whenever that was, what was it, like a week later?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then pretty much you slept over like every night.
Yeah,
after
it was.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
why did you want me to sleep over all the time if you weren't interested? Because you invited me to sleep over. I remember the first night you're like, you can stay over, and I was like, what? Like either he's
I
trying to
don't
get
know.
with me or he's just really nice.
I honestly I don't know. I can only just like come up with things, but I don't know. Anything I'm gonna say right now is just
Speculation.
speculation to like what I was thinking. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't think I really know why I did that. 'Cause
You're still trying to process.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure
Yeah.
out a bunch of these things,
Right.
but I don't really know. Yeah,
Well,
I
we'll
just
we'll
don't
get
really
back.
know.
We'll get back with the answer, but I mean, regardless of that, I think what happened is that somehow we found ourselves in this very codependent relationship,
Yeah,
which is very interesting because I don't see you as a codependent person at all.
yeah,
And you are a very independent person. And I think codependency for us does mean two different things. Like, my codependency might mean more like I rely on you to do things. And your codependency might be like I feel comfortable here, so I don't need to branch out and I don't need to
yeah.
do anything else.
I'm actually very much like that. Okay, I just super tangent, but like yesterday when you were like, okay, you plan something for us to do this weekend, I I was thinking of like different stuff, and I was thinking how like it had to be something different or something that we haven't done before or whatever it is, because because I am the type of person who'd be like, oh, we went to like this brewery and whatever, it's chill, it's like let's just go back,
Right.
as opposed to like we went there, check that off the list, let's go
Right.
somewhere else
Which is
now.
how I
Right,
am.
which is very much how you are. So
Right.
so I'm very much the kind of person like, oh, I like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm gonna have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the next
Which
year.
is literally what happened when we were in college. Every single
Yeah.
day you would pack yourself not a peanut butter jelly, just
No,
peanut
no, no,
butter.
just peanut butter. I don't like jelly. I don't like jelly. But
Every single day peanut
yeah,
butter sandwich.
just a peanut butter sandwich.
And
Yeah,
then
but
like
that's
salmon and vegetables for dinner or
yeah.
pasta.
I had like two pasta. I had like two dinners, and I had like lunch,
Yeah.
and like that's pretty much all I ate. Because
Yeah.
I'm the type of person who I find something that not even that I like. I want to say that because I was thinking about this the other day.
Just something you're comfortable
I
with.
find something that I'm comfortable with, that I know how to do,
Right.
and I just stick with it, even if I'm doing it wrong or even if it could be better. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's the kind of person that I am. So I do, yeah. So I do agree with you.
I mean, they're both different problems. Like, my problem is I can't do the same thing twice, and that's not a good thing either.
right.
Like, while I do love the side of me that loves exploring things and trying new things, it's obviously not great when you constantly need to try new things because you're chasing a high, and
Right.
that high has to end eventually. So
Yeah.
I think, I think that this is a way that we can seriously like complement each other, but for some reason we ended up leaning into the unhealthy parts,
Yeah.
instead of bringing out the best in each other or working with these differences. And I think a huge part of that just comes from the fact that we were both very lonely.
Yeah.
I switched colleges. I lost most of my friends in high school. Anyone who I did have was like back in my old school, and I didn't have money to travel to New York constantly, and it was too hard to see them with all the schoolwork. And then I wasn't very close to my family, and then obviously you moved countries and didn't have anybody, so I think we were both coming from very lonely places, and for whatever reason, our souls connected at that level of
Yeah.
loneliness.
And it definitely didn't get easier for me because that first year before I had met you, when I was living on that college house, like I started college, like as you know, I started college later, and so I was significantly older than the people in the same year as me. But when I moved into the house, all of the people in the house were my age, but they
Right.
were all seniors.
Right.
And so then the following, except for like one person, but then the following year when all of them had graduated, I was like again thrown into a situation where like everyone else was like significantly younger than me. And I just didn't connect with them because I spent the previous year connecting with these older people
Right.
who were seniors.
And you're a
Um,
mature person, like
Yeah, and like
the people in your house, they were very immature, and I like them, and I had a fun time hanging out with them, but they were definitely immature, and they were my age, and I felt that they were more immature than me. So,
Yeah.
but I totally get that. I mean, I also felt similar. Like, I was also older because
Yeah.
I transferred, and then I decided to switch my major, which meant that I had to start the 4 years all over again, and although there were people my age, I felt that they had already fallen into their cliques
Right.
and into their groups, and it was very hard to come into that.
Yeah, it's really easy to come into a school as a freshman,
Right.
and like build a relationship
Right.
as freshmen because you're all
Even
new.
even maybe as a sophomore,
Yeah,
but like
once you come in as an older
right.
as an older junior, everyone else who is a junior, well, not obviously not everyone, but like a lot of people are gonna already have their groups and their friendships, and it's just very hard to like be added to
Yeah,
them, right?
yeah, and you have to work at it, you know.
Yeah, and you're working on your schoolwork and you're trying to like figure out things there,
Yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
it doesn't make it easier.
And I think that's another thing that actually played into our codependent relationship was, we were both studying engineering and our classes were really demanding.
Yeah.
I don't think we had time to go off and make a ton of friends, be in a relationship, and study.
Yeah.
Like, there really wasn't that much time.
No.
Like, and I know people, made it work. And I actually felt like some of the people were quite friendly, and had started kind of accepting me into the group. But again, like, when you start a new relationship, you're very excited about it, and you want to put a lot of time into it.
Yes.
And again, it takes away from other things. And then I think we were just hit with a series of unfortunate events afterwards. Like, after we started our relationship, I feel like we kind of ended up defaulting a lot of things just because of what happened around us. So, like, I had plans to move in with these people.
This is like towards the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
just putting context out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I will say, just before this, I just want to chime in that like part of what you're about to talk about, what we're getting to, just to set the stage in chronological order, is like you were hanging out a ton at my house, and my roommates were kind of getting annoyed. I don't really know exactly why. If I had to make a guess, I'd probably guess that the sex was loud.
But it was like that. No, so I think they did complain about that, and they were complaining too that like it was inappropriate that we were having sex. Like,
wait, they said that to you?
Kind of,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't
like,
think they said that to me.
so they were saying like that they are religious, and
Wait, when did they say this to you? I don't remember.
you don't remember
I don't
this?
remember
They
this
were
at all.
saying that they had. I'm gonna ring your bell right now because is that the phrase ring your bell? No.
Ring a
Jog
bell.
your memory.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, guys. I don't speak English well. Okay, so I'm gonna jog your memory. But they were saying to me that like it didn't go with their religious values, and I'm pretty sure that. So this was just an excuse. They were trying to find a bunch of reasons to
Right.
make me not sleep over. But I was
Oh,
really
you're right.
ticked
You
off
are jogging my memory.
because
Right,
I was so ticked off when they
Yeah.
said that because they all had girlfriends
Yeah.
and their girlfriends slept over. Now, not nearly as often as I did.
Yeah, and
for
they probably.
sure.
I don't think they were having sex, but they slept over.
I don't.
You think they were?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I don't-
Yeah. I think I had asked.
It
one
just
of the
wasn't loud.
girlfriends. Maybe. Look, I can't help it if we had good sex. Like, anyways, but I was really ticked off when they had said that. I'm like, your girlfriends sleep over too. It was
just not getting any.
and they were coming with all kinds of excuses. Like I was using too much toilet paper.
Yeah, they were like,
know?
at one
Like-
point they were like, hey, she should pay for toilet paper. Like,
I was like,
she
fine,
should
you want me to
contribute
fucking
to
pay
toilet
for
paper.
toilet paper? I'll pay
She
for
should
toilet
contribute
paper.
to toilet paper.
Like,
Yeah, that was like really, really dumb. But anyways, not like super
Right.
important of the specifics. But
Right.
I will say, just to like, so that happened, right? And then with that, there was definitely like a distance between me and the rest of the house.
right. Which
not,
I felt
not the rest of the house, because there was 5 of us there, and one was
never
more,
didn't
one,
live there.
One was like very, very rarely there. One was like more on my side, and then 2 of them who were the loudest and the most obnoxious, and like didn't want to just like go with the flow of things. They were like making the most noise, and they were the most present,
Right.
and they were
they
also
were
the
the ones
most.
who were there the most.
Yeah, and they were also the ones who were most involved in like our small community.
Right.
And so then when they got annoyed, it was like this whole big thing. Anytime we went out to hang out with a larger group of friends, everyone was just like, "Oh, they're like being obnoxious and like bad roommates or whatever it was."
Right.
And so then the tone of the community also shifted a little
Yeah,
bit.
which was really unfortunate because what little of a community that we did have was taken away from us just
Yeah.
because of this minor thing. And you know, I don't want to say minor because it probably wasn't minor to them. Clearly, it was a big deal to them.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was, and I don't want to take away from that. At the same time, like me sleeping over was a big deal for us. Like I, I hated where I lived. Like I just didn't feel comfortable there. Like me and my roommate, we were fine, but like I don't know, we kind of, I wouldn't say we had issues, but like I just don't think I felt comfortable in the room. I had a lot of anxiety and just sleeping over your place, it made me feel comfortable
Yeah.
and that was like really important to me, you know. But yeah, it was unfortunate, and I felt horrible because I felt like you know, before I had come, you were fine, you were friendly with all these people, but and I felt like I just like ruined that, you know. And it yeah, I don't know, I felt pretty guilty about that, which I think is also why when this wedge happened, I was like very willing to just cancel my plans of moving in with other people and just move in with you instead. Because I felt like I was the one who caused this situation in the first place. It was a weird it was yeah, it was a weird position to be in.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't great for you either.
No, but yeah, it wasn't great for me, obviously. But yeah, and then just like after that, I don't know how much we want to go into the next year, but after that, it was just zero relationship with anyone in that community after that point. We were
Right,
just
right.
out. Like it was just done.
Yeah, and I think this was a huge turning point for what would set the tone for the rest of our relationship because we are both people who left a religious community.
Yeah.
But that first year of college that we were together, that was the only community that we kind of had. Like you had your friends in community college, and like I had made, you know, a couple friends here and there in my classes, but ultimately the easiest way for us to make friends was in this community that was already set up for us. Um, and the fact that we had lost that really left us in this weird place of, well, where do we make friends? How do we make friends now? And not only how do we make friends, but like it's almost too late to make friends because
Right.
like
It's like the
we're
end of
older. Yes,
college.
it's the
Yeah.
end of well, yeah, it
We're
wasn't
older than everyone else, and it's like towards the end. And
right. And we didn't know. I don't think we knew this at the time, but by having this feud and like leaving this community, it left us in even lonelier place than we already were.
yeah.
And I think the first summer when we moved in together, it was really fun and it was like bliss, and I feel like we didn't realize this back then because it was the start of our relationship of like it was the start of like us moving in together. So it's of course it's fun, you know, it's fun when you move in with your significant other in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you get to hang out and watch movies every night and bike ride and whatever, all the stuff that we did. But I think that after the summer, it already started hitting us. You know, we're together all the time. We're together every weekend. And I think, I don't know how you felt, but I know for me, I was in constant fear of being left behind. Because I'm like, if you go off and make a friend, I have no outlet to make a friend,
Yeah.
and I don't know where to make a friend. And so all of a sudden, if your weekend is busy, then what am I going to do? Like, I have nothing to do, and I'll feel
Right.
lonely. And I don't know where you were at with
No,
that.
I knew some of this because so just like connecting this back to what we were talking about before about like the codependency, like this is like how we spiraled, right? And how we
Right.
like lost things. And I want to just say on that note of the codependency, I think that we weren't, maybe you were, I don't want to speak for you, but like I don't think we were aware of like our codependency issues. And so as we moved forward through this, and feel free to like jump in if you don't agree, but like as we moved through this, we were just getting worse and worse with the codependency and becoming more and more codependent, but like not necessarily fully realizing the magnitude of what was going on. And so the relationship was getting like unhealthier and unhealthier. Um, and we didn't know, so we just kept on going, kind of thing, as
I
opposed to
think,
like stopping and being like, what are we doing,
yeah,
and we need to talk about how we're dealing with things and
right.
how we're communicating and whatever stuff like that.
I do think that I was semi-aware.
Okay,
Um,
so then I blame you.
I was semi-aware because I had been in many codependent relationships because
Gotcha.
I was a codependent person. But the difference is that I still always did have some friends around me, and I never lived with a person. So
Right.
even if it was a codependent emotional relationship, I wasn't able to be with that person all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And that gave me space to make other friends and be with other people.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware to that degree of how much things would change once we were isolated.
Right.
We were just isolated. It was
Right.
just us. We lived outside of the community. We lived outside of campus in
Yeah.
this random area. Like, while it was cute and whatever, but like, it wasn't college kids.
Yeah.
We were just surrounded by like
Yeah, it's
families
just like
or
young
like,
families or whatever it
right,
was.
and
Yeah.
we weren't there yet. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
was aware to an extent, but I don't
Gotcha.
think I was like that aware. And I think that next year I tried to do stuff to branch out. Like, I tried to join the sorority. Yes, we developed a very codependent relationship because we had come from a lonely place, and we weren't fully aware of the extent that that would, sabotage our relationship in the future,
Right. Yeah.
and also sabotage our personal lives.
I think for all the difficulty, and maybe we'll end here. I'm curious your thoughts afterwards, but I think for all the difficulties that we had, we wanted to keep on moving forward with the relationship because to some degree that was all that we had.
Yeah, we had exactly.
And
We had nothing else.
yeah, and I think that for us individually, we felt that that was better
Than
than
being
nothing
alone.
at all.
Right.
And so that's why we just kept on going.
Yeah.
And
And now we are trying to work it out and deal with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is, I think, the start to having a healthy relationship, not only with your partner, but with yourself, is just acknowledging the issues
yeah,
that
it's
go into there.
Yeah,
And
it's stopping to think about what's going on and
yeah, and
like
that's
really being able to recognize it and not being afraid
to admit.
to admit things or to have things get worse for yourself before they can really get better.
Right. And I think we're in the thick of that right now, which we will take you guys on this journey with us,
Yeah.
but we are in the thick of things being pretty difficult right now.
Yes.
But we are also on our way up, and I think and up is a different definition for everyone, but up for us means that we're addressing the problems.
Right.
So we don't know what we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we're addressing the problems and we're trying to fix them.
Right.
And fix them in whatever way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we just want to be open and honest about this because I don't think many people will admit that, they're in
They're-
marriage counseling
Yeah.
like we are. I don't think many people will admit that they have issues with their spouses, issues with themselves. People like to portray this picture perfect family
Yeah.
life and relationship life, especially on social media. And we want to be voices that just normalize things and just, I don't know, talk about the difficult stuff. So,
Yeah, just people who are struggling who can relate to some other people who are going through, as opposed to feeling alone in what they're going through. They can just relate to some other people, and
Yeah.
that's really the purpose of this. So
yes, so
if we have to like say, hey, we're doing this because we have our own struggles individually, and we have our struggles together, and we're trying to figure out what those struggles look like, and hopefully there are some people out there who find it
helpful.
valuable to listen to and figure things out. We're gonna cut it here because
Because our baby is crying, so tune in for the next episode.